Sometimes on O'Fallon Matters, we get to bring you stories from the community that are just plain neat. Today's story takes us to the backyard of O'Fallon resident John Mosley. In 2009, John had a choice in front of him. He could focus his attention on his love for gardening, growing beautiful arrangements of flowers and plants. Or he could work with model railroads, tinkering away over tracks and engines. So, John took the third option and combined his two passions into one massive garden railroad.
I was always interested in railroading, and I found a garden railroad club, and I was always interested in gardening, and I kind of put the two together, so I decided to build a railroad in the backyard and kind of do both hobbies at the same time. Actually, I'm more interested in gardening than I am in railroading, because I've always liked flower gardening and plants and everything. It's just getting out in the fresh air and planting things and watching them grow. And a lot of guys like to build a railroad in their basement, so I liked it out in the yard so you can have realistic plants and trees and be a lot more realistic.
As you can imagine, putting a garden railroad in your backyard was quite the endeavor. Over 2 years, the blank green canvas of grass began to take shape, revealing the features that would soon come to dominate the garden railroad's center. John planned out a pair of main tracks, which would allow him to run 2 trains at the same time. With the help of his friends, he installed bridges and tunnels, and plenty of scenery. And while there's always something new to add to the garden railroad, his vision had come to life. Now, engines can roar around the bend and past the waterfall. The garden railroad has been a rewarding hobby for John, and it's brought him closer to his neighbors as well.
Very good way to socialize. I met a lot of the neighbors I wouldn't have otherwise met, just coming by, and they come by and see it. I'll put a sign out in the front and say open house, trains are running, come on, stop by, so they'll stop by. And it's really nice when people walk around the side of the deck and they see it for the first time and they say, oh wow. So it's kind of, a good feeling that, people recognize all the work you've done and see the trains running, and you can really appreciate it.
It's just fun to wander around the miniature world John has created in his backyard. It's full of little details and visual jokes. Store-bought houses wouldn't cut it for John. His buildings are custom built with the help of his friends, which gives him something to do during the winter when he can't tinker with the tracks. When he isn't naming shops after his relatives, they showcase his sense of humor, full of puns and joke titles. And he's always adding something new to the tracks, because work on a garden railroad never truly ends.
Well, there's lots of weeds to pull. You can't get away from the weeds, and you have to keep the track clean because it's track powered. The electricity comes through the track, and you clean the track. And we might, some wind blows some stuff down, or some animals come through and knock stuff over, so you got to set it back up and work on the pond. I got a pond that you have to get in the pond and fertilize the plants, so there's always something to do.
The best part about hobbies is sharing your passion with other enthusiasts, and garden railroading is no exception. John is a member of the Gateway Garden Railroad Club, and the friends he's made there have helped him develop his love for the hobby.
Well, the Gateway Garden Railroad Club, I looked on Facebook, and I was interested in garden railroading, and I found their Facebook site, and we get together about once a month and have a meeting at somebody's house, and we run trains, and we have a little meeting, and we have something to eat, so it's a nice little get-together.
Garden railroading is a rewarding hobby, and if you'd like to see what it's all about, stop by the Gateway Garden Railroad Club's website at ggrrc.org. You don't need to have anything but an interest in the hobby to meet with its members and explore garden railroading. And if you see a sign that says the trains are running, feel free to stop by and say hi to John and take a walk around his garden railroad.